Hello everybody and welcome to another toy review. Today I'm taking a look at something a little bit different. I have in hand the latest offering as part of the Star Wars Black Series 3 3/4 inch figures. We have the First Order Stormtrooper Executioner, Luke Skywalker, who is now a Jedi Master, the Elite Praetorian Guard, and the Resistance Tech Rose. The back of the box, we have a small bio on each of the characters, as well as our warnings of choking hazards. Now let's start off with Rose. She is part of the Resistance Tech team, and she has absolutely hated the First Order since she was a child. We've got a nice sculpt there, especially for a 3 3/4 inch. Nice hair, got it tucked away in a bun there. We have some nice articulation up and down there. The arms can go around and then come out to the side. We've got nice detailing on the arm and chest. We do have a bend at the elbow, although it is a very stiff joint. You may want to add a little bit of heat to this the first time you bend it, like a hairdryer or something like that. We do have a rotation in that cut as well, and we have a rotation on the hands. There's an upper torso rotation. There's a ball in there which allows upper swivel and some forwards and backwards motion, and we do get some motion going forwards. We can adjust the feet by rotating the thighs. The same with the back. There's a hinge which allows for some backwards swivel. The same hinge can rotate in the thigh, allowing for a sideways motion. We have the upper thigh rotation. We have a nice bend at the knee. I do like how all of the inner details of the knee are sculpted, which doesn't break up the trousers that she's wearing. The sculpted detailing is nice there. Coming down to the feet, we do have up and down motion on the foot. It's ball mounted, so we can rotate left and right as well, which is fantastic considering the size of these figures. Now she does have, I believe this is a radio or some sort of tool which just slots in nicely into a hand. It's okay, it's not hugely detailed, but there's enough detail there to make it look a bit like a tech head, and that she's got something going on that's helpful. And then we get her rifle as well. Nice colouring there. It's nicely broken up with some blacks and some silver. Again, very nice to look at. We can just pop that rifle in her hand and just put the trigger over there. Just amazing how far these Star Wars figures have come since I was a kid. When the first movies came out, I used to love collecting the figures. Now we can actually pose them. She's a good looking figure, and to be honest with you, I think she's probably the weakest of the four, sculpt wise, and that says something because that's a pretty nice sculpt, especially for a figure this size. Next up, we have the First Order Stormtrooper Executioner. These guys hunt down any traitors in their midst, and he looks ruddy awesome. I love this kind of electricity going around his weapon there. We can tuck that in rather nicely. I love the use of the black and white as well. We're used to seeing these white stormtroopers, and he's got this specialized black going across the helmet and shoulder areas with the First Order badge on the side there, so we can tell the difference between him and a regular stormtrooper. Let's just remove the weapon for now and take a closer look. Really nice detailing on here. So you could probably hold it this way, but I'd imagine he'd probably electrocute himself or cut his own hands off. This can actually detach as well. This can be brought down into his hands. I imagine that's like a baton or something. He can just swing down. Oh, I do love the sculpt on these figures though. They're incredibly detailed considering where they've kind of come from. Much like we had with Rose, there is some movement on that head there, a lot less considering this guy's got a helmet on, so it does hinder that neck and head articulation quite substantially. You cannot unfortunately remove the helmet. You could probably pop the head off the joint and replace the head, but why would you want to? We can bring the arms up and over. They do come out to the side on a very stiff joint, again hindered somewhat by this armor. There is no upper bicep rotation, although we do have a nice bend at the elbow with the ball joint and rotation in there. And again with the hands, they are a fixed unit, but there is rotation on the wrist. We can go up, down, left and right. No additional waist rotation. We have this peg on the back here. I'm assuming that's where he holsters his weapon. The legs again are hindered somewhat by these side pods. They go forwards and kind of backwards. You have to rotate them within the thigh to get a good range. They come out to the side this much. There is some upper thigh rotation, and we do get a bend at the knee. It is unfortunate, really. I mean, if you look at the waist on here, this is a little bit sloppy in comparison to what we got with Rose. It's not really applied very nicely. You can see that it's just white over the black. I know that I'm quite close, and you don't generally get this sort of distance with your Star Wars figures, but I just want you to know exactly what you're getting. We do have a bend at the knee again, some nice hidden sculpting there, making it look very natural. And feet again are on a pivot and go up and down, and they can rotate left to right. Now, sloppy paint aside, I think he just has a really good shelf presence. There's just something about him. It really does separate him from the normal Stormtroopers, and it really works. I love how this guy looks. Next up, we have one of my favourite looking figures from the series. This is the Elite Praetorian Guard. This is basically the modern day version of the Crimson Guards. These are the guys that protect Snoke. Basically, he's the supreme leader of the First Order, and these crimson clad guardians are his loyal protectors, and they are encased in ornate armor, ready to defend the supreme leader from any threat. They look absolutely wicked in comparison to the Crimson Guards of the past. It's a very kind of medieval armor on these. I love how it's layer upon layer on those arms. Very gladiatorial look to that helmet, and then nice nod to the original Crimson Guards with the flowing cloth coming down. The hands do grip the weapons, although it's very difficult to get this hand around. I was worried that the thumb was going to break. It's a very tight kind of closed grip. I was hoping that the weapon kind of came apart at some point so I could thread it through, but it doesn't. It's one solid piece. But still, you wouldn't mess with these guys, would you? The articulation is left and right. We've got a little bit of up and down, not very much. Hindered again somewhat by the shape. Not really any up and down motion there, just a little wiggle. If I just remove one hand, we can bring the arms out to the side that far. Love how these shoulders fold underneath these shoulder pads. That's really nice. There's no upper bicep rotation, but there is rotation within that joint. Again, the clearance is absolutely phenomenal. Well done, Hasbro. We have a rotation on the elbow and a nice bend, and we have a rotation on the wrist. There's a ball socket inside the abdominal muscle there, so we can go forwards and backwards, around and around. And the legs again have that ball socket with a hinge, so we can rotate and we can get the legs out to the side, rotate that hinge outwards and move them forwards and then backwards. It's all on that same joint which rotates in the inner thigh. We get a rotation on the upper thigh, nice bend at the knee there. Then coming down to the boots, we have a nice forwards and backwards motion, and of course the rotation left and right. Need to get some more of these guys. I'm not sure how many are going to be in The Last Jedi. I'm not sure if there's 3, 4, maybe, who knows, there could be loads, but it's a very good looking figure. Really love how these looks, very imperial Were the Crimson Guards, were they Imperial Guards? Is that what they were called originally? The ones that were around with the Emperor? I can't recall. But either way, this guy looks absolutely awesome. It's almost samurai-esque, isn't it? And last but by no means least, we have the Jedi Master version of Luke Skywalker. Really nice looking face sculpt. Again, very nice for a 3/4 inch. We've got the hair on there as a separate piece. It looks very much like Dave Mentz, if anybody knows him. Love the cloak and the overthrow. It's very nice soft material. It reminds me hugely of the original toys from the early 80s. Unfortunately, we do not get a lightsaber with Luke. Obviously, he hasn't met up with Rey at this point. Still has his bionic hand with some really crisp, clean detailing on there. That's a very kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque suit he's wearing there, with the belt as well. We have a hook on there, we have a pouch and a buckle. Getting around to the rear, it's a very nice slender figure. I do love that sculpt. He's got a bit of a recede going on there though. Very nice paint applications on Luke. Head can look up slightly and down. We can go left and right and kind of tilt side to side. Coming around to the arms, they can go upwards. Rotation in the inside there and down. Nice sculpt on the inside there, although we do have a 2 imprinted on the inside. We have a bend at the elbow as well as a rotation, and a rotation on that wrist, which appears to be right ready for a lightsaber when we get one. Same with the other arm, nice deep bend there. The ball socket in the waist is mounted just behind the belt, so it looks incredibly natural still. There's a split down either side of the clothing, so we can rotate the legs around, bring them out to the side, and then rotate at the thigh. And again, rotate that socket inwards, so we can bring the legs forwards and backwards. We have that nice bend at the knee. Again, it's nice colouring there, but no additional sculpted detail. But that's not really necessary for Luke anyway, because of what he's wearing. But it's got a nice wash to it. It's not just a plain colour. It looks the part. He probably could do with looking a little bit more grimy, considering he's been like training on his own, being a bit of a hermit, a bit like Ben Kenobi actually. We can go forwards and backwards on the feet, and of course left and right, and we have our stamps on the base. So yes, Luke looks magnificent in my opinion, especially for a figure of this size, but I would really have liked a lightsaber. I know he doesn't have one until Rey finds it and gives it to him, but still, I mean, come on, it's Luke Skywalker. They should have like 5 as standard. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the first of many Star Wars figures that I intend to collect. I love that these are all this kind of 3 3/4 inch scale, but they're not all exactly the same size. There is some variation. I mean, for example, Luke would be a little bit too short to be a Stormtrooper. They all look very good, and I am pleasantly surprised at the levels of articulation that figures these days of this size have. As of the release of this video, Robot Kingdom does have these figures in stock. I believe these are the Walmart exclusives, so please click the link in the description below, which will take you straight through to the page on Robot Kingdom. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like more Star Wars videos, then please leave a comment in the comments section below. And until next time, from myself and the latest offerings from the Star Wars Black Series 3 3/4 inch, may the Force be with you. Goodbye.